If you want to take your DIY skills up a rung, the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show is here to give you a boost on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Well, last week we talked with Sue Prins and Ginger Herman from Sue Prins Group, 5-star real estate leaders, and talked about the shelter-at-home directive and how that was affecting the real estate market. And as is always the case with radio, the minute you get done with something, you think it through and you think about what you said and you remember 5 other things you wanted to say. Well,
that's the way it always goes.
Yeah, Sue called us later that night and said, there were a couple things I really wanted to stress. And they were such good points that we decided we'd get her back on for a quick segment here. So, Sue, thanks for joining us one more time.
You bet. That's just my ADD brain. That's what it is.
No, I know.
Okay, we get it too.
You made all your notes, and then you said that you didn't want to reference them because it sounds like you're reading, and then you missed the thing you made a big note about. So
yep,
you get a second try here, and it was really good information. So why don't you just run with it?
Yeah, I've been hearing some fears and concerns out of folks when they hear the word recession in the media. And I'm going to step out on a limb here and say that probably most of your listeners will have lived through that 2008 recession, and they remember what it was like, especially in the housing market. The housing market tanked.
Right.
Property values dropped quickly and dramatically. And I mean, it seemed like overnight.
Yeah.
So when people hear the word recession, their minds are going back to that time that they've lived through. So I just want to reassure people that our market is far different. It's vastly different than that market in 2008, and that what happened was very much internally driven. There were things going on that should not have happened, poor lending practices. If you could fog a mirror, you could get a loan. Appraisals were inflated for both new loans, but also for second mortgages, which people were taking out second mortgages with inflated appraisals. And then suddenly our market drops during a time, mind you, that the inventory was much higher than it is now. And so it was more of a buyer's market than a seller's market. So when the recession hit, people were stuck with mortgages that they could no longer pay off. Remember, they were inflated values.
Right. And that's not what you're seeing right now?
No. Obviously, we are in a seller's market, as we talked about last week. Still, we are. Still, we are in seller's market because there is low inventory. So that's different than the last time around in 2008. So yes, we are seeing multiple offers and some inflated, based on multiple offers, some inflated prices. But now we have appraisers who are under our government doing practice differently. Now they are under more scrutiny to make sure those values are there. And sometimes people do buy above the appraised value. That's their decision, to do that, But again, it's a totally different market because of all of those things together.
A lot of what's driving this is an outside force now. It's not something internal, like you said before,
exactly.
Where it was a problem.
It's an external force that's going to go away, probably as quickly as it came. We're gonna see it go away. I think even if the governor's executive order of the stay-at-home does change in April, whatever date it is. What is it, April 13?
I believe so now.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, even when that changes, we're going to notice a difference in our housing market because buyers will be back out there walking through homes. That's a difference right now. Remember, we talked last week, buyers are no longer encouraged to walk through homes. Even us realtors are not allowed to walk buyers through a home. We can't walk into a home to list a home. And so after that order is lifted, then we're going to go back to that. Obviously, it's going to be different. We'll probably still be wearing the gloves and the booties and whatever, but people will be able to go back into homes and feel more comfortable buying. And remember, again, we said people can still buy today. People can still list homes. We mentioned that over 40 homes just in that 24 hours after the governor placed that executive order, 40 homes were listed. over 20 or over 40 homes were listed, and over 20 homes went pending.
And that's just from the greater Grand Rapids area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, that was a huge numbers to look at and go, hey, people aren't as fearful about buying because some of them have to buy.
Right.
They're moving here. We talked about from out of state and what have you, and have to move their families, settle their families in, or they've already built a home or bought a home. They can't afford 2 mortgages. So they have to, make this move.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still happening now. I believe it's going to, we're just going to jump right in after the order is lifted to almost business as usual with those exceptions that we talked about.
Hey, Sue, I didn't get to ask last time. People who are like at the end, ready to close on house, ready to move in, are they having to wait now until this order is lifted, or can they move into the new house now?
So remember, we talked about there's some things that have been changing. Things weren't clearly spelled out from our governor as far as what's allowed and what isn't allowed. Obviously, that's a big task for her. I get that. But that was one thing kind of up in the air. And right now it's being left to buyers and sellers still negotiating that out. They are able to, but some may be uncomfortable doing that. And so they are able to renegotiate that. It could get tricky because some are going to want to move and some are going to maybe want to stay or vice versa. Right. But we are able to negotiate that out. So far, as of today, I know of nothing mandated that's saying, sellers need to stay in their homes and buyers, are not able to move in. I know nothing like that. Again, it could change.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But yeah. That's a good question, though, because it obviously is one of those things of concern. What do we do with these issues with possession?
So many big changes, so much, so fast. But I did want to get that information out there about the recession, about the whole idea of how that word sparked so much fear based on what we experienced before in 2008 and how pretty much all of the foundational things are not the same this time around. And we don't necessarily expect the same outcome at all. So, Sue, thanks for touching base with us. If our listeners have any questions and they want to get in touch with you, how's the best way for them to do that?
Sure. My cell phone is 616-723-2400.
All right.
Stay encouraged, folks. Stay encouraged.
Excellent. Sue Prins from Sue Prins Group, 5-star real estate leaders. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.